real soon. Man of God asked me to talk about this book, this legendary book. There's so much information in here, and I want to cover some things tonight. I want to talk about a few things, but a few things stuck out to me. There were a couple restructurings in the United States, and there's a third restructuring in the United States, and the way the book reads starts with you. Starts with you. The way you restructure your mind, the way you think about things. We've all made mistakes. I made a ton of mistakes financially. You learn. Sometimes you're doing you think you're doing the right thing. Sometimes you're not doing the right thing. I mean, there's so many different things to say about it, right? I think about when Bishop Tudor Bismarck talked about, you have the right people doing the wrong things. You have the wrong people doing the wrong things. You got the wrong people doing the right things. And then you got the right people doing the right things. And, throughout history, we've seen all of those things, all of those scenarios play out. And, in order for us to get to the third restructure, you have to know where you come from. Okay? You have to know why you are where you are. And so I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about a few things from the book. Nah. Y'all take a picture. Y'all should have taken a picture. For those of you that were not here, we are coming from the book of, it's not the Bible. It ain't the Bible. It's Financial Literacy for All. Okay? By John Hope Bryant. Financial Literacy for All. And I don't believe I'll be up here long tonight. Thank you, sis. Happy birthday to my sis. She was enjoying herself yesterday. She didn't save me no cheesecake, so I'm a little salty about that, but You didn't either? Okay, all right, I feel better then. Man, Lachelle is 45 and still a virgin. That is a blessing. You can't, that's a blessing. I mean, speaking from experience, that is a blessing. But we've got to make sure that we are doing our part. That's an excellency of character. But can we have excellency of character in our financial state? Can we have excellency of character as we think about or we understand money? See, our problem is that we don't understand money. I understand money, but only a little bit. I still don't understand. I had a meeting last week with a financial advisor. He wanted me to go over some economic things. He wanted me to explain to him what was going on in the world today and the reasons why the government was doing the things that they were doing. And so I ran down and showed him, I just threw up some graphs, showed him literally what we were doing, why the moves we were making, and how they affect us. And so I went over that stuff with him. I think I talked about 30, 45 minutes, just showing him graphs, showing him what happens when we do this, explaining to him, right? Why does Walmart get to absorb some of the tariffs? Why are they saying they can't absorb the tariffs? What do they get to do? Well, I went over all those things. And then he flipped the script on me and started telling me all about the money industry, the financial industry. Okay? So what little bit I thought I understood of the markets, he made sure that I didn't understand it. and he flipped my brain upside down. I just sat there like a school kid taking notes. because I knew, see, that's when you have to know. There's times for you to talk and there's times for you to shut up. I had the floor when we were talking about the economy. I didn't have the floor when we were talking about financial markets. Very simple. And I don't walk in the room like I know everything. I didn't even know why we were having that conversation. He's like, hey, can you meet me here? I just want to talk to you about something. I didn't know what it was. No, heck no. See, people, that's a great question. Did he want something? Nah, he wanted my knowledge. He wanted the currency of my thought process. That to him is better than a financial return. An explanation of what's going on in the nation, in our economy, an understanding of that is more important than him benefiting financially, transactionally. That's a transaction. You give me something, I pay you for it. Or I give you something, you pay me for it. That's a financial transaction. That's not what that was. It was an intangible transaction where I gave him something that he didn't have and he gave me something I didn't have. No strings attached. Okay? So, and in that, we had a very deep conversation. There's a lot. I forgot more things than I can even try to remember. Getting my degree in economics, studied money and banking, studied financial markets, studied all that stuff. Man, I forgot a lot of that stuff. You don't use it every day. You lose it. I mean, it's simply put. Okay, you lose it. And if you just don't practice it, it's like foreign languages. If you don't speak it every day, if you don't try, you'll lose it real quick. Okay, so I've lost a lot of knowledge, but you got to know what's a rug pull, what's a grift, and what is actually something for you to benefit off of. Okay, my younger audience out there, we talked about, and it's all part of it. We talked about the rug pulls of some of the meme stocks, GameStop, okay, AMC, some of the actions with crypto. Those are called rug pulls. What do I mean by a rug pull? A rug pull is I'm going to hype something up. I'm going to get everybody else to buy into it. And once we push that price so up because of the demand, I'm going to sell real quick. I'm going to take it at its highest and I'm going to strike. Sell, sell, sell. And when I sell, I'm going to create an avalanche where you think it's still going up, but I've already taken my profits and now you're going to get hit. Because I may hold the biggest share, the biggest position of that share, of that stock. And if I sell, then I'll cause the whole value to tank. It's a rug pull. So you're pushing money in, you're pumping it up, and I'm hyping you up. I'll get on Reddit, I'll get on Facebook, I'll get on X, and I'll be like, oh man, this is the greatest thing. To the moon, diamond hands, hold. They don't say hold, they say hodl, H-O-D-L. Okay? They'll tell you to do that. They push the price up, and then they're called whales, people with the biggest wallets, they'll sell. Okay? Now, the whole value tanks. You bought this stock that was supposed to be viral. You bought it for 150. Well, the person with 1 million shares just sold it at 150, and now the valuation, maybe they had 60% of it, the value just falls. It's not worth anything anymore. It might be worth half of that. But you have it at 150. Well, now it drops down to 75. You just lost half of your investment. Rug pull. And then you're like, oh man, I'm going to short it. Meaning you expect the price to fall even more. Well, they'll buy back at 75. I know I'm going over your head. Y'all just blinking at me. They'll buy back at 75 because they bought it at a discount. Okay, they just sold at 100. They bought it. They might not even bought it. Or if they bought it, it was like 25 when they bought it. Sell at 150, okay, because y'all ran it up. Then They're going to sell. They have all that position. The price falls back down to 75. They're going to buy it again. It's on sale. Okay? Now, you're going to say, oh, man, it's going to drop. It's going to tank. So you short it. Well, then they drive it back up to 100. So your short position loses, and you lose even more money. They sell again at 100, and now you've lost everything. That's what the market is geared for. It's geared to make you lose. Okay? But we don't even understand that. Everything I just said to you, how many of you guys understood what I just said? Couple of you guys, right? A little bit? Okay. We don't talk about this stuff on a daily basis, do we? No. Okay? This is so foreign. I'm speaking a foreign language at this point, right? You might understand a few words, right? Sí, no, ocho, right? Y'all understand that? Hodl, okay? But it's a foreign language. And the problem is that if we don't create the environment to talk about this stuff on a daily basis, make it a part of who you are, then you'll never advance in the knowledge of that field. And so, unfortunately, for black and brown people, it was purposefully hidden from us. Purposefully hidden from us. Every chance, every opportunity that we had to grow our financial literacy, to grow our financial understanding, was stripped from us. Okay? And that's something that the book talks about. So, I'll get into it. There's a bank that was created. It's called the Freedmen's Bank. Okay? Freedmen's Bank. And what that bank was an opportunity for free slaves, newly emancipated individuals, to be able to have an investment institution where they could put their money, their newly found or acquired money, because they were slaves. They were not getting paid. They were getting beat. Okay? They were able to deposit their money into an account and to try to grow and have access to other financial vehicles. And it was a great idea. It was Abraham Lincoln spearheaded it. Okay? And this was in 1865. 1865. And get my notes, make sure I'm not lying to you guys. Find me. Okay? 1865. But there was another big name that was included in there. Does anyone know who else was a part of the health of that Freedmen's Bank? Nope. Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, who just so happens to be my relative. Yeah. That's my relative. Now, I had to do a little bit of research because, for years it was always, you're related to Frederick Douglass. All right, that's great. I'm not a direct descendant of Frederick. I'm almost at a play cousin. You know what I'm saying? Like it's to that point. I think my great, what did I say, babe? My great grandmother, I have notes. My great grandma was Catherine Bailey Casson, the great grandchild of Isaac Bailey, the grandfather of Frederick Augustus Bailey, aka Frederick Douglass. So, my family line came from a man that wasn't a slave. Isaac was not a slave. He was a free man. He was born here in 1770. So, the same lineage as Frederick Douglass is where I derive from. which is pretty amazing that I can actually go back and trace it back to the 18th century. My family, I actually have pictures going back to late 1800s of my family. My cousins sent it to me. We pretty much said we don't want to learn about anybody behind us because our grandparents were crazy. And they said my great-grandmother was the one that really set it off. She was crazy. But I digress. I'm a relative to Frederick Douglass. So what you have to understand about yourself, the reasons why you do the things that you do, is because you are all coded in a specific way. Okay? That's called DNA. And did you know that your DNA can determine how you think, how you act, how you feel, whether or not you've experienced a situation? Your DNA, it gets imprinted on you whenever you go through a situation because it gets passed down. That's how people are inherently afraid of snakes, spiders, things like that, because they saw someone else become fearful in that. Okay? The DNA will encode whatever situation you go through to tell your next generation to survive. Okay? That's how you learn survival instincts. That's why they're called instincts. Instincts are not learned. They are a reaction. It is because you're coded in that way. So, I'm coded to be a free man. Now, I always talked about I couldn't have been a slave. It's easy to say that, but I can trace it back genetically that I came from a free man. Now, my family, if we want to, never mind. Nah, man, my family's nuts. But it's not okay. It's not okay. When you look at things though, you guys are throwing me off right now. It's not okay. When I started to really do research, it was really funny how it came. And this was actually a couple of years ago. I think it was during COVID. My cousin was like sending me pictures and just sending me all this stuff about family I really couldn't care less about. Because in my mind, I'm like, dude, I'm going to create a new lineage for my family. Like whatever they did in the past is, it stops here. Buck stops here. God has made me somebody who can overcome that. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. But then you really start to look and I look at my daughter, I look at me, I look at my kids, and I'm like, man, I just don't, I'm like, I know I'm related to my cousins, but I don't look like my cousins. And I'm like, I just didn't, it's hard to understand. Even some of the Hayes, my mom's side, I was like, kind of, but not really. But then I started looking at all the regressive traits, and I look like cousins that are way down the line. And my kids look like cousins that are down the line. JC and Viv, they look like they could be related. But that's such a regressive trait, right? So you think about it, you're like, okay, God, you must be resetting something so that we can't look and say, man, I look just like you. I'm gonna behave just like you. You got to be set aside and be different so that you almost don't recognize where you come from. Not in the sense of being haughty, but in the sense of I've gone so far on this straight and narrow path that I can't even tell you what's behind me. I look at my family and I say to myself, I'm like, man, I don't look like them. Okay? Come to find out, I've got green eyes on both sides of my paternal side. They're not even related. One has just a regressive trait, and a bunch of them have green eyes. The other side has blue eyes. It's nuts. And then I got green, but none of my kids do. I'm the only Bell child from Ruth who has green eyes. She had green eyes. I had green eyes. No one else has. No offspring. Nobody else. It's crazy. So, but it's a super regressive trait. And then you look at JC. She's darker. She's just, she goes out in the sun and she bakes. She looks a lot different from Sean. She has like all the regressive traits. So you look at that stuff and you're like, man, just like I came out, I've got to be different. Sometimes it's those regressive traits that make it a dominant trait in your life, to make you want to change and do something different. But you've got to make sure that your mindset is in that same manner of, I'm going to be different from what I've seen and what I've experienced, because I've got to recode that DNA to be somebody different. Does that make sense? Am I going too fast? Okay. We've got to change the way we think. Okay. So getting back to this bank. Okay. This bank was set up for black individuals to deposit in, to feel trust in, so that they can start feeling like they are a part of society. Okay? We didn't have access to capital, right? Here's a quote. Simply to survive the transition to a system based on free labor, they would need food, clothing, shelter, and medical care. Okay? So you're now free, and now you have to fall in, you have to assimilate to an economy. And that's what Abraham Lincoln was trying to provide was, okay, well, you've got to have a place to put your money. Now, how many of you guys know people that don't trust banks, hate banks? Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. It's because of that bank. See, it started off as one location in Washington, D.C. And they actually got overzealous about it. They wanted to make it grand because it meant a lot. It meant a lot to Frederick. Obviously, Abraham didn't make it through a lot of it because he died a year after. Okay? Actually, it was less than that. Shortly after. Okay? But the folks that were spearheading, they put money into it. They put reserves. Frederick Douglass donated 10 grand. How many of y'all got 10 grand right now to put into a bank? Okay, couple. I didn't really mean put your hand down. Put your hand down. Can't have you getting robbed. We're leaving service. Wade, walk. Make sure she gets to her car. Just don't put your hand up. I know, but I mean, it was just not $10, 10 grand, 10 grand. Okay, 10 grand. And back then, let me get the numbers right. It was my family. My family had 10 grand. That was 10 grand was, what was that number at? I think it was 100 and, was it 162? 165,000. So that's equivalent to us putting 106. How many of y'all got 165,000 y'all can put into a bank right now? All right. Okay. Maylee's hand stayed down this time. Okay. All right. You ain't. All right. Well, she might have it. Okay. Good job. Wade, make sure she gets to her car. She still spoke up. She was like, you know what? I got it, but you ain't got to know. Okay. They put money into it. Okay. He deposited 10 grand. That's a lot of money. I don't care who you are. 10 grand's a lot today, right? But he was trying to, the purpose of it was to support the movement, the financial literacy, okay? It was to promote black people to be able to do the same, to have something, to be able to loan from, okay? To start business. That's the huge thing, okay? We get so worked up on having the security of a job, trading our time for money that we are afraid to use. There's my DW. We are afraid to use the talents that we have to create. I'm going to say that again really slowly. And I'm going to stare at one of my favorite people in the sanctuary. We are afraid to use the talents that we have to create because we'd rather trade our time for money for a false sense of security. To grow wealthy, you will not do it at a W-2. You will not do it punching a clock. You will not do it without. What's the best way to grow wealth? Anyone know? Say it louder. Real estate. Real estate. If you don't have real estate, do you know the statistics on our white counterparts versus African Americans? Do you know what the wealth difference is between whites and blacks? It's 10 times. 10 times the difference. And because we would rather rent than own. We'd rather do the easy thing than the hard. Now, I understand, I don't think it's right, but I understand why you would want to pursue the easy thing. It's coded in your DNA. Okay? Not only did this Freedmen's Bank that ended up failing, okay, they built a $200,000 building, which would have been, God knows how much now, millions of dollars, right? Because they were pumping all this money in. But then they created this, they had the wrong people come in, do the wrong thing, okay? What took that bank down was shady investments with no oversight. Think 2008 financial crisis. Pretty much the same thing happened, but they're playing with black people money. See, the deposits grew astronomically. I think it was in 13 states they had branches, and they had over, I think it was $30 million. It was a lot of money. And those people, those depositors, lost everything. 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 So you wonder why your grandma, your great-grandma never put money in the bank. They put it underneath the mattress. They put it in a couch, shoebox. Okay? That's why. That's why. It's coded in your DNA to not trust a bank. Because somebody, somewhere down the line, trusted in a bank, saw the movement, and they got hosed. You see, that Freedmen's Bank was not backed by the FDIC at the time. There was no FDIC. There was an OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of Currency. Okay? The comptroller was like the overseer, but they didn't guarantee anything. Okay? So imagine that you're a free person now. You're putting your money in. It's the first $50 you've ever had. And back then, $50 is a lot of money. Okay? That's a lot of money. You know, maybe you grew it to 100. Right? Because banks, they balance the deposits with investments. Well, as the economy turned, they went from treasury bonds, government-backed bills, to real estate transactions, which at the time were not governed. And so the guy, I think his name was Henry Cook, he was a white man who decided that he was going to take a little for him, leave a little for them. Take a little bit more for him, leave a little bit for them. So he was investing, trying to come up quick. and he created a problem for the bank, which cooked their books. And then by the time Frederick Douglass hopped back in, there was nothing that they can do about it. It was already done. Okay? So, once again, it's the wrong people doing the wrong things. Okay? It was an opportunity for black people to understand the banking and the financial systems so that they could progressively start to get ahead. Every time black people in America have tried to get ahead, they have been met with great opposition. Tremendous opposition. Black Wall Street in Tulsa, the Freedmen's Bank, what's the lake? Lake Lanier? Okay. Rosewood. Have you guys ever watched that movie? It's a hard movie. I think I watched it when it first came out, and I was a child. I still feel that movie. It's a hard movie. I don't think I've watched it in 20 years. Probably more than that, 25. It's been a long time. Okay? Every time we're successfully doing something, it's always met with tremendous opposition. Okay? So you have to know that. You have to know that every time you're going to take a step forward and do something outside of your comfort zone, outside of your safe zone, you're going to be met with tremendous opposition. Nothing is going to be given to you easily. Because you are black, because you are brown, this world, this economy does not want you to win. It just doesn't. They have an expectation for you to be some wild, uncouth, savage individual that doesn't understand the money, even though, as black consumers, we're a $4 trillion group. That's a lot of money. When you look at it, that's 1/9 of our GDP. GDP is about 36 trillion. And first and foremost, consumption is about 60 to 67% of total GDP. Well, if we are, 2/3 of that is what, 18? Let's just say 18. No, it's less than that. Sorry. Let's say it's 12. Sorry, it's 12. Okay? 12, 24 is consumption of that 36. So we're 4 trillion of that 24. So what does that make us? 4 divided by 24, or 24 divided by 4 is 6. We're 1/6 of GDP. Just the culture, the black culture. 1/6 of GDP. But yet, what are we producing? Very little. We're inherently consumers. We're very good at spending. We're not good at saving. We're not good at creating. We create trends. We create TikToks. We create music videos. But we don't create anything else. Where is our commerce at? Where is our entrepreneurial spirit at? I'm personally a serial entrepreneur. I am a serial entrepreneur. I've got so many things in the work right now because I refuse to trade my time for money. I have rich people that want my time, and I have to learn how to get over myself because I like my time. I enjoy my time, my peace. But I have to learn how to circle and surround myself with the people that actually want to shake and move and do things on this earth. Okay? The 5 people that you surround yourself with will show you who you are. If you look around and the 5 people that you are closest to aren't going anywhere, you need to change. If they're holding you back, you need to change. If they're stagnant, if you're not the dumbest in the room, you need to change. I'll say that again. If you're not the dumbest in the room, you need to change. What does that mean? It goes back to my statement, right? This is a time to shut up. You need to listen. And if you're the only person talking, then you're not benefiting yourself. Pretty quiet. I get it. It's a hard pill to swallow for me too. I have to get over myself. Personally, have to get over myself so that I can go spend the time with people. See, my problem is I see through people and I'm like, I don't like what you do. That has nothing to do with anything else. When it's business, it's business. I'm not in here because I care about everything you do. I couldn't care less. It's business. Okay? And don't allow yourself to get tripped up over that. Well, this person doesn't talk about God every 30 seconds. Well, then, okay, where's it gotten you talking about God every 30 seconds? Please tell me. There's a reason why I didn't come out with a Bible today. There's times to talk about God. There's times to be religious. Not every other sentence needs to be something about Jesus. You can't be at work talking about Jesus all the time. You ain't doing your job. Huh? Oh, yeah. You good. Yeah. Sorry. Wade, make sure she get... No, I'm just joking. I ain't got no scriptures for tonight. Okay? But I do have daggers, right? Daggers that say that we should be focused on things that are outside of Scripture. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with having money, folks. Money is a defense. We already Ecclesiastes 7:12. Y'all want a scripture? We talked about that yesterday. Wisdom is a defense. Money is a defense. Okay. All right. I got some word out. Okay? But there's nothing wrong with having money. And it's actually the opposite. See, what you guys don't understand is that they've brainwashed you to feel like having money is a problem. No. Not understanding money is the problem. Having the lack of understanding is a problem. In all things get a what? Understanding. Okay? You want to have an understanding of everything that you're going up against. There's principalities and powers that you're going up against. And guess where they're in? The financial market. They're in everything. In the housing market, the supermarket, every market. But you, Major, if you were to go to war and you weren't briefed on anything, would you be equipped to fight that battle? You weren't briefed. There's no sit rep. There's nothing. No. You're going in there blind, right? That's what we do to each other. That's what we do to our children. How many of you guys have sat down and done a budget with your kids? Now I want y'all to raise your hands. Raise your hands, yes. Okay? If you have children, your son is literally 3, okay? And I'm sure Davion's probably already talked to him. But if you have children and you haven't talked to them about budgets, how are you setting them up? Because guess what? Time's going to pass regardless. They're going to be, my son just graduated 6th grade. Okay? My oldest son's going into 10th grade. I remind him daily, bruh. I say bruh. Bruh. I say something else too, but I'm not going to say that. Bruh, time's going to pass regardless. You got to be prepared. When you get to high school, man, that stuff just blitzes by. Freshman year is the longest, and then sophomore, junior, and senior are about the same length in time as freshman year was. It goes like that. So I sat at the table, and every single one of my kids learned about budgeting. Yes, even JC. Whether or not she understood it, guess what? She's seen it. She's aware. And I'm not hyping me up because I've made mistakes. I'm making mistakes. Okay? I still have stuff to learn. The purpose is to make sure that we don't do the same thing that was done to us to the next generation. Our job is to recode our DNA for the next generation. The first restructure was from 1865 to about 1960. 1965. Second was the Civil Rights Movement and on. Okay? A lot of other things have happened. Right? The purpose of the Civil Rights Movement was not just about being black and being able to vote and get a voice out. It was actually to encompass everyone, regardless of your race, gender, creed, right? To have the same experiences. So where we lost the opportunity in the Freedmen Bank and countless other towns, villages, where people were literally murdered because they were black and because they were successful, Civil Rights Movement was just like, hey, can we get a voice? Right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't care what Martin did outside of that. He had a point. And he made some great points. Now, if he was doing other things, that's on him. That's between him and God. But he did, once again, the right people doing the wrong things. It's covered. Okay? But that doesn't negate the knowledge bombs that he dropped. The paradigm shifts he was trying to create. It doesn't negate that. Okay? The third restructuring is all on you. It's all on you. What do you do differently? What are you going to say or seek out in order to change your financial future, to change your family's financial future? It's never too late to start. It's never too late to change. As long as you have breath in your body, it's not too late. Look, the whole system is set up against you. The whole thing. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat. I don't have time for that. My son told me today, he goes, Dad, you are, what did he say, babe? How did he say it? You are what? Uncomfortably honest or something like that? Yeah, you are uncomfortably honest, brutally honest. You are brutally honest. Yep, I am. Your 401k, if you don't have a Roth IRA, you take your 401k number and you divide it by half. That's what your balance is. That's the available money to you. If it is not post-tax, just divide it in half. The 401k was not set up for you to win. A Roth is a much better plan. Roth is different. You get a lot more of your money. This is not financial advice. This is me just talking to you. It's numbers. Okay? If you have $500,000 in your 401k, but it's pre-tax, you happy, you have $250,000 and that's it. But they're not going to tell you that. They won't tell you that. That's why there's no financial education classes in school. How many of my high schoolers have taken a financial ed class? One? What did you guys learn about? You learn about taxes? How to do them? What did you learn about taxes? What they were. Do you have any idea what tax code is and how many pages that book is? No. Okay. Do you have any idea what the 2017 tax code did to men and women of America? No. Okay. So even the classes that you may be taking is just a watered down, dribbled over mess. That's all it is. They're not telling, their job is not to educate you. It's all about the appearance of education, but you're still lost. Okay? If you aren't actively pursuing owning something, land, houses, anything like that, every millionaire that I've talked to, spoken to, started off with real estate. Why? It's the easiest to scale. Easiest to scale. We could worry about the market dropping, houses tanking, because we've seen it before, right? That got coded in our DNA, right? Another reason why we don't feel like it's in us to buy homes is because of redlining. Our parents, our grandparents couldn't get a house. They couldn't buy. FHA made it so that in specific, in colored areas, urban areas, they would not allow banks to write loans on. They literally took a red line and said, do not loan here. That's why it's called redlining. So you had people coming back from the war, from World War I, World War II. The GI Bill was introduced shortly after, okay? The book talks about in Mississippi, and I'm skipping over numbers because I don't remember all perfectly. Essentially, if there were 1,000 homes available, black folks might have gotten one or two. And it wasn't just in the South. It was up north too. New York, New Jersey. I have another book. It's called The Color of Law. My wife thought I wanted The Color of Love. I said, no, this is not it. I need The Color of Law. That's the book I was looking for. Then Sister Barlow going to be like, you ain't going to read it? No, I'm trying to learn about redlining, not love. Got time for love. Trying to learn about I'm trying to learn about history. Okay? But we've got to pick up books and we have to understand what's coded in our DNA. Ask yourself, who have you seen with a house? Grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles. Is everybody renting? Why? Why? Okay? You learn pretty quickly what's coded in your DNA. But you've got to make the choice and the decision to say, you know what, I'm not going to be afraid of that. Because fear is definitely coded in our DNA. Fear is, it's a part of survival. But it could also kill you. It kills you financially. Because you don't make any choices. You don't want to take that step. You don't want to take that leap. Our man of God is taking a huge leap of faith. At 60-something years old, starting a business, right? He's doing it the right way. He's taking equity out of his house, which rich people do. It's a tax benefit, right? You can pull equity out your house and use that money for investments or use that money to do what you want to do, and you don't get taxed. But that's another story. But he's doing the right thing by creating, running, growing this business so that his kids, his children's children, can have an opportunity at ownership in the future. Equity in the future. Equity is all about the future. It has nothing to do with right now. We are so engulfed in what's happening right now that we can't think about the future. Bills are tight right now. Things are tight right now. I'm just doing this. I'm just getting by. You're not thinking about the future. You haven't allowed yourself to get outside of the narrow scope, that tunnel vision that you've allowed yourself to put up. We want to learn about all other things. Why don't you change your algorithm to be about financial literacy? We allow all this other crap to flow into our brains daily. Stupid kittens on YouTube and all that other stuff. Okay, whatever your algorithm is, change it. Go search for this. Go follow this man on Instagram. He drops dimes left and right. Just huge nuggets. Change your algorithm. Do something different so that you can pursue the actual result that you want. There's a big difference saying that, oh man, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be wealthy, but you ain't putting no action behind it. It's just words. Words don't do anything without action. See, when God spoke things into existence, they became action. But you've got to actually do something if you're going to speak something. See, I made a mistake because I got down on myself. I got down on my situation. Even I am an entrepreneur. It is what it is. So when I had surgery and I couldn't work, things dried up. You can't sell houses if you can't walk up and down stairs, right? I mean, it is what it is. Okay, but I let my mind shut down. I got off of my routine. And God allowed it. He just, he wasn't going to remind me. He just sat back. And now here I'm like, oh, man, God, are you listening? Like, I need your help. You stop putting your actions together. What's some of my actions? Yeah, I'm speaking, but then I have to start believing. That's an action. Then you have to start doing. That's an action. But if I just sat there in my home and said, oh, man, God, I am this, I am that, and I don't do nothing, they're just cartoon bubbles. They just float. That's it. They don't go anywhere. Okay? So I'm speaking from experience as an entrepreneur. I can't trade my time with money. I don't have a job. I have businesses, plural. Plural. We're starting a cleaning company. Tried to get Quana to come with me, but she's doing her thing. It's all right. I got a proposition for you, though. I'm never done. My construction company is up and running. I got one of my good friends, he got his GC license. I wanted to get my license, but I wasn't in a mental state to get my license. I understood that. But someone else did. Now I've got to share my profits, but as long as I'm moving, I don't care. It's not about me taking all the profits. I don't have enough time to personally run the projects. I need someone else to help me. I've got a real estate team. I've got 3 agents underneath me. They demand my time. They demand my energy. My business demands my energy. So I have a lot of stuff going on. But that didn't change until I started getting back into my routine. So you have to change you can't allow your mind to erode your process. What do I mean by that? You can't let your mind erode your process. Your mind's going to tell you to stop. Your mind's going to tell you this is not working. Your mind's going to tell you to do something different. And sometimes your mind is playing tricks on you. You got to know the difference. Every day you should be waking up and starting your day off with God. Me and my wife, she does her thing, I do mine. I get mad because she leaves because she's warm in the morning, and then she leaves, and I just go on her side, and I just sleep on her side for a little bit. But we get up, and we do our own separate things. She goes downstairs, she starts reading her word. She consumes her word. I have my routine. I read my word, I speak things, I rehearse stuff, and then we go talk to the kids, whatever, get them ready for school, go take them to school. And recently I've just come back and started reading. Been reading this book. But I'm creating a habit in my mind so that I can create enough time so that I can get myself in a position to be ready for the day as an entrepreneur. I have to mentally prepare myself for the day. Well, I can't start without speaking to God first. So that's the first thing that I do. I thank God for waking me up in the morning. I thank God for the businesses that I have. The things, not even, they've been slow. Business has been crazy slow this year. We got a late start. Lachelle and I should have been running like crazy. Lachelle was running on a treadmill for what? 60 days? 5 months. She was, yeah, it's almost June. She was running on a treadmill. Okay? That means she wasn't going anywhere, folks. She was getting stuff and stuff falling, getting stuff falling. And I'm like, man, stuff is just not here. Okay? But you can't let your mind take you off of what you're still, that I couldn't allow myself to tell myself that I had to leave real estate. There's plenty of people that have left. Plenty of people that have given. It's by the grace of God that I'm here, still in business almost 6 years later. That's the grace of God. But I thank God for that every morning. I go through my IMs. I go through my scripture. I go through my scriptures first. Then I go through my IMs. Speak my scriptures. And then I go through my IMs. And sometimes I keep IMs on there that haven't manifested. They're late. They're late IMs. And I'm like, well, I'm still going to say it. Because you don't know what's going to happen. Because you might be saying something, and you might be creating something for the future that you don't even know, you might not even see. You may be the Moses of your family, and you may not ever see the promised land, but yet you're going to lead people there. You may not make it, but you have gotten everybody there. And so that's why I keep doing it. You've got to be the Moses of your family to learn financial literacy. You may not swallow all of the information, but if you give your children a different head start, a better head start, Bishop always talks to me about that. Oh man, you're so much further than I am. James, you're so much further than I am. We've got to do stuff that's going to help out the next generation. We owe it to them to learn financial literacy. We owe it to them to learn more about money, the velocity of money, how quickly it moves, where to put your money, where not to put your money, how to build and grow a real estate portfolio, understand taxes, not just as a W-2 employee, but as a business, as a corporation, as an S corp. Okay? There's a whole bunch of different avenues within tax. I don't even begin to pretend like I understand them. I gave my CPA my stuff and I said, here, tell me what to do like I'm 12. I don't have the time to understand everything. You understand it, you tell me. That's the time that you shut up and you listen. Okay? There's times to shut up and there's times to speak. But as a serial entrepreneur, I'm going to hand that stuff off and say, you tell me what to do. Okay? Now, you got to make sure you use your spirit of discernment, because you don't want someone that's going to tell you the wrong thing. Now you're in trouble. Okay? But you've got to know the right things to do at the right times. I want to shout out a few people because they're serial entrepreneurs. They're grinders. Carl McCullough is a grinder. He ain't here. He's working on something. Man, man, it is amazing. We get in here on these Saturday mornings, and he's telling us about the things that he's experiencing through business, through life. That man comes in here with a baby that ain't. Do y'all understand what that means? That man is a grinder. He just gets it done. And understand, that doesn't mean he doesn't make mistakes. We all are going to make mistakes. It's not about how pure you are, how blameless you are. We're all going to make mistakes. The difference is do you make your mistakes and get back up and keep going, or do you just lay there in your pile of shame or whatever you want to call it? Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody messes up. DWs, there are some people that are just slow out the blocks. They got a bang up idea. Imagine this. There's this drink, and it's like crack. Every time you take a sip. It don't matter who it is. Do y'all know that I literally have given it to a restaurant owner, and I'm like, you try this and you tell me. And their eyes just light up. There is not a person that I've met that's just like, this is terrible. No, it's crack. It should be studied. But what are we going to do when you're gone? Who's going to get that recipe? Who's going to make it? Where is that legacy going to go? We ain't going to bury you with no damn lemonade cup. That ain't how it's going to work. And that's not to get on her. We all have things that we were slow out the gate on. All of us. Man, I asked my wife, I missed opportunities. Missed opportunity. I had an opportunity to buy Bitcoin in 2011. We were making fun of it. Oh, it's like 9 Bitcoin per dollar. Stupid. Stupid. You know what my wallet would look like right now? I had another opportunity. A friend came to me. Hey, I'm starting this business. Can you invest in it? Fear set in. I tried to look at the facts. Oh, man, I got a baby. I ain't making that much. My wife's going to school. Man, I can't come off 1,000. He's been in business for 15 years now. Changed the whole implement game for track and field. I missed. So it's not just DW. It's me too. It's me too. It's all of us. I'm pretty sure everybody has an example of where they probably should have or could have stepped out on faith and done something different. See, the problem is that we think that we have to have everything ironed out. Major, we think that we have to have our uniforms pressed to perfection. No issues, no errors on our garment. That ain't the key. That ain't it. You have to just get out there and do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be messy. It will be sloppy, but that's how you learn to be better. If you just sit on the sidelines and say, well, if I get a little bit better, if I do this, it's the same thing with parenting. Same thing with getting married. Oh, I gotta be ready to get. No, you don't. So you telling me at 20 I was ready to be married? No. I knew that it was the right thing to do, and I knew that that woman was the love of my life, and I was going to treat her that way regardless. And I made mistakes. Did I make mistakes? Do I still make mistakes? Don't shake your head. But I'm joking. I know I make mistakes. But you can't sit there and say, I'm not ready. You're going to let preciously, the time's going to go by anyways. You might as well do it and enjoy it. You might as well learn in advance. But if you just sit there and say, I'm not ready, I can't do it, that's fear. Someone downloaded that into you through their DNA in the past. They might have had an opportunity and they failed. That's why they're looking at you when you come to them with your ideas. You got to know when that look comes that's time for you to walk away. That's another opportunity to shut up, because you ain't going to change their mind because they've already lost the mental battle. Don't let those folks influence you, okay? You've got to change your mindset. You've got to be ready for that third restructuring where it starts with you. Starts today. You have to say to yourself, I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to pursue something beyond what I'm comfortable in. Being wealthy, being successful isn't being comfortable. Not on the start. It's difficult starting your own business. I'd say it's difficult running a team. I probably should have waited. I was like, I'm just going to do it. Actually, Brittany pursued me. She's like, hey, I tried to tell her to go join another team. Honest to God, told her to go join another team. Number one, I like my own personal space. I don't like people asking me questions, being around me all that time. But Brittany just kept coming. I want to do this. Nope, I only want to do this with you. All right, dude, we'll try it. And then she started to be successful. Things started to line up. Now, one of the clients that we ended up helping out is one of our business partners. They've invested $50K into our startup business. Okay? All because I did it when I was uncomfortable. I wasn't financially ready. I wasn't anything. I just did it. I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what happens. I brought 2 other people on. Yeah, we'll see what happens. That's the mentality that you have to have. And not just we'll see what happens, but let's win. Let's set it up for success. Let's build a system that we can make easily and repeatable, that we can win in the future, to make our lives easier, so that when we bring on more people, it's just easier to onboard. You have to get away from fear so that you can move forward and what your goals are in life. I mean, unless your goal is to be a W-2 employee, punch a clock every day, that's on you. Eat your cheese sandwich, drink your Shasta, and go back to work. I'm not going to bother you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that want to, that are sitting on that edge, that are chomping at the bit, but they're so afraid to move forward because you're afraid of failure. You're afraid of what other people think. It's time out for that. You need to go pursue the things that are going to help you get off of that ledge. You need to go after those things. You have to be financially literate. Because once you get there, it's one thing to make money. It's harder to keep it. A lot harder to keep it. That's all I got. Pastor KT, can you pray us out?
Precious Lord, Father and Savior in heaven, Lord, we thank you for our brother Bryan teaching us with brutal honesty that we need to step out on faith, not just speak it, but do it, and be the Moses of our families and lead our children there. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.